Sleeping with Sarah.
Welcome to Sleeping with Sarah. I'm Sarah Albritton, and I'm here with my guest, Valerie Tosi.
Hey.
How'd you sleep last night?
Last night I slept really well, actually, because I went to a yoga class last night.
Oh, a night yoga.
I am usually a day yoga person, but I thought last night was the full moon. It wasn't. It's tonight. And so my pathetic attempt at being witchy I messed up, but at least I stretched out really well, and so I crashed out hard.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. After a workout, easy to go to sleep.
Yeah.
I joined ClassPass, so I'm like doing a bunch of different workouts, seeing like what I like most.
It's the best.
And I haven't figured out like which one I like the most. You know, I've been doing like a mix of like rumble boxing and like bunda and like P-Volve, and I haven't done a Pilates class yet. I think I'm kind of afraid of the machinery, so I don't know.
It's a lot. Like, I would say maybe start with a mat Pilates class first, because then you can kind of get some of the foundational stuff and work on your core strength before you jump onto a reformer. Because those machines, they literally look like medieval torture devices. Like,
I think they are. They're just repurposed.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
They're like, oh, this is what they used to torture people with now. Now you can torture yourself into, you know, having a strong core.
Yeah, it's like that scene in what is it, Neverending Story or something, where they're just like stretching people out and whatever. Am I thinking of no, not Neverending Story.
Princess Bride.
Just kidding. Wrong 80s
one,
movie.
Right? Yeah. I love that you're wearing the mermaid.
Thank you.
So you run the Mermaid Comedy Hour.
Yes,
Mermaid
Comedy Hour
at the Improv.
Staying on brand here in the in your bed.
How did that come to be? You just wanted to run a show and...
Yeah, so it's funny because I can always gauge how long I've been doing comedy by the anniversary of that show, because I started Mermaid Comedy Hour when I was only a little over a year in, which is unhinged. Mm-hmm. And so I've been doing it since, I think, 2000, can I do math? 15. And I started it because even at just a year in, I was really frustrated that women weren't getting as much stage time. Mm-hmm. And this was right around when that festival in Texas came out that they got dragged on the internet because
they had no man on it?
Yeah, it was all dudes, and they had like one woman, and they were like, "Oh, just not applied." And I was like, "This is the biggest crock." Can I swear?
Yeah.
This is the biggest crock of shit I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So when we did Mermaid that first year, I purposefully didn't rebook a single comic. The first year, I went new faces every single month because I wanted to prove that there was a ton of women, even just in LA.
Yeah.
And so we booked over 100 women in the first year.
Yeah.
Just that first year.
That's great.
So, yeah.
Because I think that's like important.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like, it's laziness too. And like, and I also think part of it is because women, we like to talk ourselves out of asking for spots and applying for things because we're like, I'm not ready. Where men just have an easier time just going after things and asking for the stuff that they want without even like considering that they might not be ready.
Yeah. And even like running a show, like I see people following up every single month on trying to like get, you know, when I ran a show, I had people following up every single month, like trying to get on. And it's like, wow, like people are very, outgoing with that.
Yeah, it is. And it's funny too, because there's definitely women that are just as aggressive as the men are. And sometimes it makes me laugh because I'm like, we're a monthly show. Like, why are you emailing me a week later? Like, what are you doing? Like, we haven't even booked another one yet. It's just funny.
That's crazy. But yeah, so you've been in it 9 years then.
Yeah, for comedy, for stand-up, yeah. The show just had our 8-year anniversary, so yeah.
What brought you to this side of the world? What brought you to doing it?
Just a dream chaser. No, I'm just kidding. I moved out here in 2008. I was young, and I got here. I didn't really know what I was doing. I did improv first, as I think a lot of us do.
Yep, that's what I did.
The general trajectory. But I felt stuck. I was doing improv. I'm an actor too, and writer and voiceover and all that stuff. But when I first got here, I did acting and improv primarily for the first couple of years, and felt stuck and didn't really know what I wanted. And I had a few people that over the years were like, you should try stand-up. I think you'd be good at it. And I was like, ugh, no thanks. I was like, not for me. And then I was the weirdo that took a class because I love taking classes and I like structure. And the classes can't teach you how to be funny, but they can teach you structure. They can, like joke structure. They can teach you accountability and things like that. And I fell in love with it. And I was like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's nice to find that though.
Yeah.
When did you stop doing improv completely? Like a year into stand up or just immediately?
Pretty much after I kind of started stand up. I love improvising on set, like I love improvising like in something, but actually doing improv now, it's a young man's game, like I can't do those rehearsals anymore. Yeah. That's like late and like, oh, no.
Well, yeah, I think improv is really good for your like just out of college, like early 20s. I think like there's also an energy with improvisers that
golden retriever energy.
Yeah, golden retriever energy. It's just like we're all gonna be best friends. We're gonna get a drink after class, and we're all gonna. And I was that person, but at the appropriate age.
Yeah.
At that appropriate age.
And do you remember too? Like when you were starting, there was always that like one older person that was in your class or something. I'm like, I can't go back. I don't want to be the old person now. I was like, no way. I'm like, Well,
that's like I did all the big things in Chicago. So then when I came here, I was like, I'm improv'd out. I'm just gonna focus on stand up.
Yeah. I started improv out here. Ironically, at a Chicago-based institution. I started at Second City, but it was out here.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I think Second City and IO both closed.
R.I.P. baby. Yeah, IO was a little before the pandemic, and Second City was right after, kind of during.
Yeah. I guess the big ones are still just UCB and the Groundlings. So which ones?
Yeah, I mean, like the Pack is here still. Oh, yeah. But they're they're an offshoot. I forget of what though. And then wasn't there another one too? I don't even remember. I'm so out of like that scene now. I only know about it if I like show up to do a show in an improv theater, like a stand-up show. But those shows are sometimes the best because like
improv audiences.
Yes, because they're all there and they're just like they bring their golden retriever energy into the crowd. Like they're just as excited.
It is fun though, you know. And I think improv is really good to do. I think it's a great exercise, especially for writing or performing. Like it gives you those good skills. And I even think people that aren't performers, like writers, if you want to get better at pitching, maybe take an improv class and you're going to get less nervous in front of people.
Yeah, 100%. It makes you a better stand-up too, because and I think that's why when I first started stand-up, a lot of people didn't realize I was as new as I was. And I think it's because I was comfortable on stage because I had already been up there for so long.
Yeah.
And I had kind of whittled down how I was doing improv. Like I started in big groups like Herald teams and stuff. And then I eventually got down to doing 2-person improv a lot. And I was like, what's taking away one more person? So it's just me.
Like it's just me. And then I'm also telling jokes about my actual life instead of being a character.
And I think too, like sometimes I beat myself up about starting late when it comes to improv. Because, some people start so young, or not improv, stand up. Some people start when they're like 16, 17, 18. And like I started really late. But then I realized I'm like, I didn't really live a life until I was a little older. So I'm like, at least I had stuff to like pull from and stuff to talk about, where I feel like if I started at 16 or 17, I don't know what the hell I would have done. It would have just been a lot of like, kind of spinning my wheels.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I definitely didn't start that young, but I always look back, I'm like, if I had started a few years early, if I had started when I was in college, like how much further I might have been around, or right when
Yeah.
But that was like the improv years, I was in a theater school that was super intense. So I would go to do improv classes in Chicago on my day off from my theater school and got sucked into the improv world and was like obsessed with that for a few years.
Do you ever sit back and think about like just how much you packed into one day when you were a little bit younger? Like now, like going to the grocery store seems like an exhausting thing. And like back then I'm like, I worked it like during the day, and then I remember because I used to work at a police department. I used to do I was a 911 dispatcher for a couple of years, and I would work like 7 to 3. I would go to my parents' house, take a 20-minute nap. I would drive to my bartending job. I would bartend till like God knows how late, and then the next morning I would get up and do it all over again. Or I would take classes at a community college or be in a production of something like a musical or whatever. Like when I was like early 20s. And I'm like, how did I do that? Like now I like, there's no way. Like even just to like make time to record a podcast, I was like, can I fit it into my schedule? Like it's crazy.
No, I think I've always thrived on that though. Like if I was keeping busy, it kept my energy up, And yeah, in Chicago, I would go and do like 6 things on like a Saturday. And maybe it's a little bit less now, but some days just have to be busy. You know, some days I have to split my time. Like I've got like today I've been doing this workout thing. So I get up, I work out for like an hour, I come back, make a smoothie. I worked on like promotion for this thing I'm doing coming up, made a couple calls with a videographer I have doing that. Then I came here to do a podcast before this, have this podcast. After this, I have rehearsal. And then I have a little bit of time where I'm probably going to go out and show face in LA at other comedy shows. So it's like I do have to nap to make that work, but I try. But I also have pills that keep me awake, so I guess it's a little different too.
Jealous.
Well, you know, if I didn't, I would just sleep 16 hours a day, and then I wouldn't get anything done.
I'm like, but that sounds like heaven. You're like, in small doses, yes, but not every day.
Definitely not every day. But and where are you from originally? Boston?
From Boston,
okay,
yeah.
because I saw the tattoo.
This dirtbag tattoo for all you viewers at home. Yep. B stands for bad person. No, I'm just kidding. It's a Red Sox tattoo, and it starts and stops a lot of conversations. But yeah, I'm originally from Lynn, which is right outside the city of Boston, and grew up there till I was like 10 or 11, and then moved further up to Salisbury, Mass, which is like the most northern part of Massachusetts.
Got it.
Yeah.
So is that like pretty far from Boston then?
Massachusetts, Salisbury is. It's like a 45-minute hour ride into Boston.
Oh, okay, so that's not
not that far. Because Massachusetts is a very small state. Like, it's so funny to look at it on a map compared to California, because Massachusetts is like, what is it, like the size of LA? Like, it's not really, but it's like, it feels like that because this city is just so insanely huge.
It's massive.
Yeah.
And so from there, did you ever live in the city, Boston proper?
I never lived in the city, and I think it's because I left when I was young. Like, I left when I was 23. So when I went to college, I went to UMass Amherst, which was out in Western Mass. So I never really, like, people ask me, like, oh, what are the good bars in Boston? And like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I never really like lived in the thick of it. So I'm the worst person to ask for recommendations unless I'm like, go to a Red Sox game. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I went to Boston as a kid, but I haven't as an adult, but I'd like to go check it out sometime.
It's fun. I really do love it. Like, I'd say if you're going to go in the fall, it's so gorgeous when the leaves are changing and stuff. It's awesome.
East Coast, like, yeah, everyone goes in the fall. It's gorgeous.
Yep. Definitely don't go. I mean, it might not be too bad now, but God, as soon as it starts to snow, that first snow is beautiful, and then it goes nasty.
Well, like that's the thing. It's like I moved here from Chicago, and I was used to the cold. I went with dealt with negative 35-degree weather, and it's anything below 50 now is very cold to me. I'm like, where's my cuddly?
I know.
That's what it is. If it's cold out, because it's getting darker out and earlier out, I'm like, don't want to go out sometimes. I'm just like, I just want to stay inside where it's warm. And I've become a wimp. I would have made fun of myself when I lived in Chicago. Be like, well, what are you thinking? You know?
I know. It's crazy how fast it changes too. Like, I can't do it anymore. I'm such a baby. Like, I'm like bundled up, and I don't mind it. Like, if I'm on the road, because then it's like fun. You're on an adventure. You're like doing shows, and it's like, you're all cozy. But if I'm going home to see my family or something, I'm like, I hate it here. Like, I get so mad.
Well, I think we're used to so much sunshine. We're like spoiled by the sunshine. It's always sunshine. We forget about rain. So anytime it's like raining, I'm like, gross. Like, I forgot it rained. I forgot it rains most other places.
Do you remember like, it hasn't been a year, but it was like sometime in the spring, I think maybe, we got those crazy weeks of rain here. And it was like, no one knew how to function. Like, everybody's seasonal depression, all of a sudden, it was like, it crawled out of its hidey hole from when everybody moved out of wherever they were from. And we're like, we're back. Like, it was so weird.
I think I got back into like a video game kick then. I was like, I'm going to play, because that's like a good relaxer for me.
Yeah. What do you play normally?
I have a Switch, so like I'll play like Mario Kart and Smash Brothers. I think I just played Pikmin. I like also playing like indie games too, like that I'll just discover. Like Helheim Hassle is like a silly game.
I guess I never thought about the fact that there's probably indie games. Like, I only think about like the mass marketed ones. Because I play like, I don't think I've ever played a Switch. Oh my God. How old is she? But I like a lot of, like, I'm a pinball nerd. Like, I'm on a pinball league. And
You're in a
so,
pinball league.
yes, they exist.
That's where in LA has a bunch of pinball machines? Let me think.
So it's mostly in like the Valley and stuff because like I live in West Hollywood and it's so expensive for real estate over there and you need a lot of space.
They should have a video game bar in West Hollywood though. I wish
They should
did.
absolutely have one, and I'm so sad that they don't. So the league that I'm on, it's called On Tilt, and it's at Ace Gogi, which is an all-you-can-eat Korean barbecue spot.
Nice.
And the guy that owns the restaurant, he's a pinball distributor too. He's super rad. He has all these tables that he swaps out all the time, and they really care. So you know when sometimes you go to a arcade bar or whatever, the games are like just beat to shit. And these ones aren't because it's in its own room. It's like 21 and up only. They don't let kids in there to slobber all over the tables. But yeah, so they're like really like well kept and super fun.
Well, pinballs are really finicky. Like they break down like a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of mechanic. People don't realize like if you ever get the chance and you see somebody working on a pinball table, just try to see if they'll let you peek under the hood because it's wild the amount of wires and little contraptions and things that are under there. There's very few people who know how to fix them because it really is like a learned skill.
Yeah. No, I like that. And I like to go to I've been to Button Mash in Echo Park. That's fun. So I like old school games because my mom loved playing like Galaga and like Pac-Man and Frogger and stuff.
Yep.
So I remember those games. And there used to be this really great barcade in Chicago called Headquarters that I would go to. That'd be like a go-to first date spot for me.
Oh, that's fun.
But I'm really good at I'm really good at Pac-Man. Really good.
I want one of those cocktail tables, the ones you sit. I want one so bad.
Yeah, and that's because my my uncle has a bar in Southern Illinois, and this small town that we go to once a month. But he had a Miss Pac-Man table, and they would always add free credits for me. Aww. And so I learned how to play really well, and so that's just fun to play.
I love it. I love that game. It's really fun. I miss all those old 8-bit kind of games. Mm-hmm. I have one of the Nintendo NES, the little tiny ones that are preloaded. And I have two OG Sega systems, neither of which currently work, and I need to get them fixed, but they're such a pain in the ass to fix. Yeah. And now all the new TVs don't have the hookups that you need for those games. You have to buy specific things to
Well, that's why, with the Switch, they have emulators that are included with the Switch.
I know, but it's not the same. I tried the emulators, and they make me so mad.
Yeah, no, but it comes with the Switch, so it's easy to get even some of the games. There was a classic game for Super Nintendo that was Lion King and Aladdin. They were notoriously difficult games, and you could buy them as a separate pack for $15, and it's on your Switch.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
So they do let you do stuff like that, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I think the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I played the Scott Pilgrim one. But anyways, video games are something I like to play just to relax and wind down. Pop an edible, play a video game. It's a good escape. But one other thing I remembered about pinball machines is they used to be illegal. Did you know this?
I know, and a lot of people don't know this.
Yeah.
Get ready for some schooling, everybody.
Yeah, we're going to learn some stuff about pinball. So do you know why they were illegal?
Yeah. So there's a really great documentary, first of all, if you are interested in pinball and learning a little more. It's called Special When Lit. It came out in 2009, I think. And there was another movie that just came out too that was a fictional
Licorice Pizza?
bio. No, not Licorice Pizza. It came out within the last 2 years. I'm blanking on the name. I'll find it. I think it might be Pinball: The Man Who Changed the Game or something like that. But basically, pinball's been around for a really long time. There's always been these older iterations of it from 100, 200 years ago. And the reason why it's called pinball is because there used to be pins, actual pins. It almost looked kind of like Plinko the way that the ball would move. And eventually when they added flippers, because it didn't always have flippers, they had to prove that it was a game of skill versus a game of chance. Because when it was a game of chance, they were oh, kids are gambling. And so they would yank them all out of general stores and things like that because they were saying that all these kids are blowing all their money on gambling. And so they made them illegal. And they literally, LaGuardia, the old mayor in New York, rounded up a bunch of pinball tables because the older ones were made of wood. And so rounded them all up and literally put them in a pile and burned them and set them on fire.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy. But the weird part is that even when they were illegal here in the States, they still were all manufactured in Chicago. So like Stern, Bally, Gottlieb, all those were all manufactured out there, and they were shipped overseas. So there's a really cool, I went because I'm a huge dork. There's a really cool museum in Paris. It's like the Pinball Museum, that you can go and you can play all the games that are there. And they're from, I mean, they're like 100 years old, some of them. And you can play them all. And it's really neat to see a lot of the tables that, you know, were destroyed during that time period here, but the ones that made it, that got shipped out. It's really, really neat.
Oh, that's
So,
very cool.
yeah. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, that's so interesting though, and that they banned it for a while because
Yeah.
they just thought, and that would have been interesting. Like, would you worry about do you love pinball that much that you would risk getting arrested to play it?
It was funny because I mean, yeah, kind of.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Well, I was about to be like, and I'm like, yeah, no, I would.
Yeah.
Well, because what they would do is they would put them in like, you know, adult movie spaces and things like that, where like it was already like they were like, what's one more fucking ticket or whatever. But it took somebody to go in and basically like they rolled in a pinball table into a courtroom and were like, I'm going to prove that this is a game of skill versus a game of chance. And he's like, I can make whatever shot you tell me to make. And he was so good. He basically like proved that like, it's not gambling, like it's an actual game. Yeah. And then they overturned it. So
Interesting. And I said Licorice Pizza because a couple years ago, that movie, that Paul Thomas Anderson movie, which almost all of his movies take place in the Valley.
Yep.
And there's a part where one of the protagonists opens up like a pinball thing because they had just legalized it or something. And for that movie, I went to see that at the Fox Theater when it came out, and next to it they had a whole setup where they had like 30 pinball machines you could just play for free next door.
Oh,
It was like a pop-up
fun.
thing.
I think I saw that. Wait, where's the Fox Theater?
It's in like, I think it's near UCLA. Like it's like not far.
Okay, because I think I drove by it. Like I didn't get to see it, but I think I remember seeing the sign that said like Licorice Pizza or something
Yeah.
out front. That's so fun. You got to go.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just like a random. I like all these random like pop up events that they had. I say had because we haven't had one in a while because the pandemic.
I
And they're not
know.
just pandemic, the strikes. Like the last like 6 months, there haven't been as many events like that.
Yeah, the events have been on the picket line, like dress is your favorite, whatever. Like there hasn't been a lot else going on.
Yeah, there's been a couple talkbacks with like directors and now like writers lately, you know, at movies, but that's about it.
Yeah. I know. I'm really curious as to see what happens because we all have to vote. Are you SAG or no?
I'm not yet, but the voting, the
It's real
voting's
stressful.
happening, and it's a very long document, and I'm reading up on it because, like, I'd like to, you know, I don't have a voice in it right now, but I would like to.
It's scary, and it's so hard when you're getting so much conflicting information too. Like when they first announced that they reached a deal, you know, and everybody immediately was like, "Wow, blah blah blah," and we're so negative. And I was like, at least like let's see what's in it. My God, like chill out. And then now as like things have been slowly rolling out, I'm like, okay, maybe we panic a little bit. Like
Yeah.
it's just I still don't know how I'm gonna vote. Like
Yeah. It's so much. And I've been talking about that with a couple other people. So we've kept the votes vague. I don't want anyone to get any hate online either way.
I know,
So,
I know.
and like that stuff is hard. And yeah, I think it's important. I think that protections are super important. And I don't know, but I don't know if I trust these companies anymore, especially like Zaslav with cutting everything. And then it's like, oh, like you see all these ads. Oh, get like HBO Max for like $2.99 for the next 2 months or whatever
Yeah.
they're doing for.
It's also just disgusting when you see how much money they're pulling in and how much they don't want to pay people. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, you have so much money.
Well, and the thing is that they're all adding advertisements.
Yeah.
Every single one is adding, their lowest tier is going to have ads. So it's just basically going back to cable anyway. So there's no reason why the deal shouldn't be as good as that.
I know. And like, I mean, I've done a ton of, like, I've done streaming shows and you make, you know, you get your day rate and that's really it. You get really screwed.
No, I know. Like I know people that have had like pretty good parts on like, you know, certain Netflix sketch shows
Yep.
that maybe only get paid like $400 for the day and that's it.
Yep.
And
I've had a few of those.
and it's like that's really hard because people that see you on those, they think that you're raking. They think that you're waking way more than you actually.
Oh yeah. Like I remember, like I did a guest star on a show that was for IFC, so it was cable, and unless they re-air it on like FX or like another network or something, it's always the same amount of money for streaming because it's, you know, I think it's on Netflix or Hulu. And so whenever my episode, whatever people are watching, it's always the same. I get like $36 every like 4 months.
That's it.
It's so sad.
And
It's sad.
In comparison, what would it have been?
If it was on, I mean, so
Cable?
much more than that. Yeah. I don't even know because there's so many factors that go into it. But knowing that like thousands of people could be watching this episode and whenever they feel like it or whatever, and it's just nothing, it's crazy.
I think that's the problem. It's like because they can watch it whenever, it's not a specified time frame, and like they still haven't found a good way. Even though they are rating it with like Nielsen ratings, it's still not the same. And I don't know. I just think that otherwise it's not going to be a sustainable career for people. It'll be like supplemental, I guess. Like as a comic, it's a supplemental thing to do if you're touring, to be on a TV show, but it's not going to be paying the bills.
It's just, and even as a stand-up too, like what is expected of us now is wildly so much more.
So much work.
It's like just for the people at home that don't that don't know how much work goes into something. You can't just write your material and perform it well anymore and expect to like that's going to be enough. Like you have to be a podcaster. You have to be a videographer. You have to be a director. You have to be an editor. You have to be,
posting crowd work
clips, like a social media guru. Like there's so much to it now, and it's so hard. And I feel like I'm not sure how old you are, but like for me and my generation, it's really tough because I feel like we're in this weird in between where we didn't enjoy the heyday of the generation before us that like made it really big doing late night and things like that. But I'm not in my early 20s and have a ton of time to just spend on TikTok doing all this. So it's like that weird in between where we're like, where do we go? I feel like we're like the lost generation a little bit, where we're just like fighting so hard to move any amount forward, but the goalpost just like keeps moving.
Yeah, and it's like you have to be so many things. Like you said, like the social media thing, having clips, having all this stuff happening, and it is hard. It is so hard because they didn't have to used to do that. You could just be a comic and be funny and tour, and that's it, Or you have one late night set and it changes your life and you get repped and all this. And now it's like, it doesn't do that much.
It doesn't matter. Like
it's a credit you can use when people bring you on stage, but it's not a huge difference, unfortunately. I wish it were different. I wish it was bigger, but it's not.
What's sad is that now, as somebody who has done late night, a viral clip is kind of better currency for your career than doing late night.
Well, yeah, you could do like a, don't tell comedy clip, and that can get just as many views as a late night clip.
Yeah. It's wild. It's hard. And I think too, because we're all coming out of the pandemic, that there was a lot of like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I feel like I'm starting over. Like, am I even still a comedian? Like, we're all like processing that still on top of all of this. So it's really hard. It's really hard to like navigate. But we love it. And that's why we'll never quit, because we have an illness. Like,
well, yeah, it's also being a producer, like having to run your own show and having to get people to come out to shows in LA, Chicago was so much fun to run shows because people would just come to shows. They like sought out comedy.
Yeah. I also feel like it's just getting oversaturated too, because there's way too many shows. And then, everybody has access to stuff in their phones too. So like, and advertising isn't really there as much. Like, I was talking with you about this earlier, like a lot of venues don't even help you promote anymore. It's really all up to you. And then you're spending money out of your own pocket doing paid ads and things like that just to get butts and seats. And it is soul crushing.
Yeah, I agree. It is a little soul crushing.
Yeah.
But it's like, you gotta, it's hard, but you gotta like figure out the ways to do it. You know?
Yep. Because what's the alternative, You quit? Like, because that's kind of it. Like, you just have to figure it out. And there's definitely a lot of like, I think the hardest part is that there's you never know what the next big thing is going to be. And so I always feel like I have the worst luck where I'll jump on the thing that I think is going to be the thing, and then it's not the thing. And then I decided, like TikTok, I'm on there. I haven't looked at it. I have like 4 videos on there because I just got so annoyed and was like, nope. But I know I need to be. But like other apps that came through, I like went all in on, and then those don't even exist anymore. You know, so it's like
Maybe
frustrating.
go the opposite of your instincts next time.
Yeah, somebody just needs to be like, don't do that. Like, they need to just slap my phone out of my hand.
Yeah. With TikTok, I didn't get into it as much because I couldn't get my name on there because whoever had it Musically before or whatever the app was before TikTok took my name, Sarah Albritton. So I was kind of pissed that somebody already had that.
Oh,
and I couldn't get
weird.
it across the board. So it's Sarah Albritton Comedy on TikTok, I was able to get Sleeping with Sarah on TikTok, but not Sarah. So it's just for that reason, I think I was just a little bit more like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's also annoying sometimes too when some of these newer platforms come out and their rules for your handle aren't the same. So like somebody had taken Valerie Tosi, so I had to do Valerie_Tosi. And I always try to keep it the same on all platforms so you're easy to find. But there's some platforms that don't allow you to use an underscore. So I'm like, you pieces of shit.
Fuck you guys.
I was like, you're making this so hard. Like, it's annoying.
Are you dating anybody right now?
Pleading the fifth.
Ooh, okay.
No, I got out of a long-term thing, and I'm cautiously optimistic. We'll put it that way.
Okay, that's fair.
But yeah. So I'm just keeping it zipped for now.
Getting out of long-term things are hard. That's actually why I started comedy originally. I was in a relationship with my college boyfriend, on again, off again, and then that didn't work, and I was like, I spent so many years with you, and now I'm gonna go do stand-up.
You're like, and now I'm gonna talk about all that shit on stage.
Yeah.
I always love when people are like, you're going to put this in your act, don't talk about me on stage. And sometimes I just want to be like, oh, if only you were interesting enough for me to talk about.
See, but that's the thing. Actually, I always, when I started stand-up, I was single, I started dating more people. I did let everybody know, hey, like, I'm a stand-up. I'm going to talk about you on stage.
Really?
Yeah. Well, because, if you're in my life, I'm probably going to talk about you on stage. If that's not cool, all right, see ya. Like, that was the plan.
That's so funny. I never really talk about... I'm weird. I'm really private with my like dating life and in that regard, even just like online, like, and maybe to my detriment because I know previous partners were not stoked about me not like posting stuff all the time with them in it. And it's not like and I would always get is it because you need to look single, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I'm private with that. I don't know. It's like, sometimes you don't want every single thing on the internet. Sometimes you want some things for yourself. And I just, I'm weird about it. And I was going somewhere with this, but I guess it translates also into me not really talking about the people I'm dating on stage that much, but I'm trying to be better about it because I know there's a lot to mine there and I need to like get over myself a little bit in that regard, my comfort zone.
Yeah, well, it's also checking in with them to see if they're comfortable with it too.
Yeah.
But that's what I always did. I didn't even ask. I was just like telling them, hey, I'm a comic. If you're in my life, I'm going to talk about you. If you have a problem with that, this isn't going to work. And
Yeah.
I just was very kind of upfront that way. So
How does it go over usually?
usually fairly well, you
Yeah.
know, they were usually fine with it. It wasn't a big deal, but I also kind of avoided relationships for a long time until this most recent one that I am in. You know, it's like been 2.5 years, but like,
Dang.
but I was single for a long time before then. Ever since I had started comedy. So then I would have been single for math. Hold on.
I'm like, can we pause this?
but I was like pretty much single for like 6 years or something.
But that's the thing though, that I feel like that's better because I know I've made that mistake so many times of jumping into something way too soon when you're coming out of it. And I think that at least you knew when you were like, yeah, I'm making this decision to get into this thing because it's somebody I really like and I'm like, I'm here, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Versus being like panicking a little bit because you don't know how to be alone or whatever. If like codependency loves to creep its ugly head up. Like, yeah.
I feel like, my sisters have like always like I have 2 sisters. One of them like always kind of like was in relationship after relationship after relationship and never like, had much in between.
Yeah.
So just kind of different.
I know. I've been that person. I've been in too many relationships that are just like so close together. I never really gave myself time to like properly grieve the ending of a relationship.
Yeah.
And because you're just like, oh, another person to numb. Great.
Yeah.
Not a conscious choice, but boy, if it's happened more than once.
Yeah, that does. I think that is interesting. I think most of the time I didn't. Like I was in between things. But then immediately attract the people that I didn't want, which were like super wanting to be in a relationship. And I was like, no, let's like take a step back.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? It's like when you're ready for something, it's always the people that don't want a relationship. And then when you're like, absolutely not, it's just so weird. I also can't stop laughing now because like I'm in my, I don't care if people know how old I am. Like I'm 38 and it's so funny to me trying to like men in their 40s and like even like early 40s, they're like, oh, I just don't think I'm ready to be in a relationship. I'm not blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what are you waiting for, homie? Yeah. Like half of your life is over and I'm going to outlive you. So if I'm ready, I think maybe like just throw in the towel.
But it is interesting because I dated somebody here that was 10 years older than me. So he was in his early 40s.
Okay.
Or like, wait, yeah. He's a little over, I think he was 11. He might have been 12 years older than me. I'm bad at math, guys. Anyways, I dated, he was actually very immature for his age, and
that's because that never goes away.
Yeah. And the thing is, I think looking back, I was like, oh, probably dating this person because I was afraid of commitment. And like, I was like, oh, you're not good enough for me to commit to anyway. So then I won't ever commit to you. And then now I'm dating someone who's a couple years younger than me.
Oh, I can't do it.
And he is much more mature than the 40-year-old. Much more mature. He, such a great communicator.
Okay, wait, here's my question. Mm-hmm. Were either of them comedians?
One of them was.
The older one? Mm-hmm. That's why I knew they'd be less mature. I was like, I'm going to solve this mystery right
now. But we kept it very quiet. Nobody knew. And it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Isn't that funny, though? Like, it's so, like, dating a younger... I'm bi. So like I've mostly dated, I've hooked up with a lot of women. Not a lot. It makes me sound weird. But like I've hooked up with a fair amount of women. But I've never been in like a full relationship with them. And it's not that I haven't wanted to. It just kind of never happened.
Honestly, same with me.
Okay.
I've had really great experiences with women. I've dated women a little bit, and there were some people there, like in the pandemic, I had a really great date. It was a first date with this girl. We went to we had like a little picnic, socially distanced, and like a park, This is like this is really bad pandemic where you really wanted to, it's not like we could, but we got to know each other in person and it was super nice. But she had recently come out. She wasn't comfortable. Like, I think my timing was always kind of like bad luck with dating.
Yeah. It's hard to be, I'll say this on blue in the face. It's hard to be bi because at least in my experience, you're not straight enough a lot of times for men and sometimes like male partners get really uncomfortable when they know that you're bi. They're just weird about it. They'll make comments and stuff that just sometimes I don't think that they realize how much it hurts. Yeah. And you're insecure about it and whatever. And then you feel like you're not gay enough, for a female partner because it's like I've met women that are like, oh, I don't date bi women. I only date like full on lesbians.
Gold star.
Yeah, gold star lesbians. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, well, but what if I, it's like I wanted to be a fucking astronaut when I was a kid. And then I guess what? That changed. So like maybe there's room for growth, know?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm very lucky because my partner does not mind at all that I, I'm technically pansexual, but
that's I mean, I'm old, so I say bi, but like yes, pan, like this, the
and you're not old. You're as old as you feel, I think, you. And come on,
thank you.
Yeah,
I'm a soft 38. But yeah, it is. It's tricky, and that's kind of, I think where my head is now too, like getting out of a long-term thing is like. I think that's what I need to explore more now that I'm like single. And I think that's gonna, where I'm like, I just need to go out and be like hella gay for a while. You know what I mean? Yeah. Real gay is what I need to kind of do.
Yeah. The things I needed to look out for when I was also trying to pursue more women when I was single, I was like, I'd like have a great conversation with the girl at the bar. We'd be talking and then look down at her nails and they'd be like pointy and long. And I'm like, oh.
Hello.
Oh wait, you are. Oh wait, so maybe that's a bad judgment on my part.
I think it is because I just went through this. Like I was crying, laughing. I'm in a group chat with a couple of girlfriends from back home, and we were laughing because two of us are bi, one is a lesbian, one is straight. The lesbian sent a thing of it was a meme of like cute girl, hi, me, and then like somebody like clipping their nails, which hilarious. Our friend that is straight was like, I don't get it. And I was like, oh, sweet baby girl. And I was like, I will not be a gatekeeper and tell you what this means. And so, but it's funny. And then somebody was like, yeah, and if you see somebody with the middle finger and the pointer finger short, but the other one's long, guess what that means? And I was like dying.
That's great.
I've seen it. Like, I've for sure seen it.
Or just like you have them all pointy, but the two round ones are the other.
But the two round ones are like, it's so funny.
That's great.
I was like laughing. And because I even said, I was like, man, I should be fired for the way I was like, yeah, I'm going to go out and be hella gay. And then I'm like, well, but I can't do it. I don't want to get rid of them for the right person.
For the right person.
I might, but also there's like so many other, there's so many like, here we are in bed. There's so many toys and stuff now that it's like, how important are I don't know.
Yeah. That's the only thing is like, I wish I had like dated somebody, like a woman long enough to like be able to like do like, buy a strap on together and like do stuff,
right?
Like it's like I was,
yeah,
like
it's funny because I was looking at some online. Like,
they're expensive. They're not cheap. By the way, that's an investment.
They're very expensive, and they're also like, somebody was like, well, what would you, if you were going to get one, like, what would you, like, what do you want? Like, what do you want the dick to look like? And I was like, well, first of all, I was like, I don't know, because I know whose dick I like. It just doesn't, I might not like the person attached to it. I was like, is that weird? Can you call up an ex and be like, hey, real quick.
Can you take a mold of your dick?
I like your dick, but I don't like you. I need some measurements real quick. If you could just send those over. Thank you so much.
Well, you can actually get a mold.
I don't want a mold. I don't want that exact dick. I just need that circumference.
Yeah.
I don't want a birthmark and all this shit that looks the same. I'm like, I just need the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Yep.
That makes sense.
That's so funny.
See, no, but some of that things I would try, or like a Sybian or something like that.
A what?
A Sybian?
What's that?
It's like a big, I've only seen them in stores. I haven't actually gotten to use one because they are expensive.
Is that the one that like sticks to a fridge?
No. What?
I don't know.
There's one that sticks to a fridge?
Well, some
That's
of them have
hilarious.
like suction cups on the back so you can like shove them up against a wall and then like.
But the fact that you said fridge, I'm like, that's interesting.
It's the only surface I could think of that it would realistically stick to. I don't know. Maybe you want a snack at the same time. Who knows? Your mouth's not busy.
That's a great visual. I love that. No, a Sybian is like, it's like a, think of like, it's like the size of like an ottoman. And in fact, they have like a cover that makes it like hidden ottoman. So if you see someone with like a plain black one that looks like a,
is that like your sex toy chest?
Yeah, I guess. But it's like a big structure. And I'm sorry for the audio listeners, but watch the video for this part.
You're not missing anything. It's just a bunch of hand gesticulations. It's fine.
But it's like you sit on it, like it's a whole thing. It's like a saddle almost, and the whole thing vibrates.
Oh.
And then you attach a appendage, whatever you want, in the middle.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, but
Now
they're
hear
like
me out.
$5,000.
Hear me out. What if you wheeled it up to a pinball table and then you played the same?
Oh my God. I don't know if you can handle that much pleasure at once.
You're like, are you sure you aren't a straight dude? Because that like sounds the same. Oh my God. Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, I went to Amsterdam a couple months ago after doing the show in Edinburgh. I traveled a little bit. We went to Amsterdam for 24 hours, and I went to a sex shop, and I was like, oh, because I was trying to explain to my friend what the Sybian was. I was like, can we look at a Sybian? He's like, oh, these, I think they said they had OnlyFans girls just came in and like bought everything. They bought all of the stuff.
That's so funny. I can't I don't know. Do you think you could realistically come from an ottoman? I don't know.
No,
that sounds so
the whole
insane.
thing. But okay, I originally heard about this because there was like a storytelling podcast like years ago, like Risk or something, that was talking about like a sex party, and they explained during the story about what a Sybian was.
Yeah,
the whole story was about this crazy sex party that they went to, and I remember hearing about that. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I forgot the name of it later because I was trying to like look it up later when I was just like curious.
Say the name again.
It's a Sybian. I'll look up that.
I keep thinking you're saying a simian is in like a monkey, and so it's really throwing me.
No, let's see. Hold on.
Just so everybody knows, she just had to get rid of her crossword that came up. So nerd alert over here.
Sybian, Sybian. It's like
Sybian, okay.
It's called a sex machine.
World famous according to the internet.
Yeah. So it looks like this.
Oh my God.
We're gonna add an insert so you guys can see what it is.
Okay, what's hilarious is that it literally looks like part of a Pilates reformer with a dick on top.
I love that. So this is not the torture kind of Pilates. That'd be interesting if someone made up like a sex Pilates. They'd be like, all right, we're gonna come and lose weight.
Oh my God. I mean, think about it though. You're like,
Actually,
it's all about working small muscles.
Ellie probably would do that. Ooh, is that like $1 million idea? Like we could maybe start. No, that's crazy. Though.
I know. I like, yeah, like you work out, but then like, some people, I know people that are like, oh, I love when like a woman is sweaty, like it's super hot and like blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I feel so gross. The last thing I want to do is fuck when I come out of a workout class.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like, but I guess if you know that going in and everyone is like that, but I'm like, do you want to, I don't know if I'd want to,
Yeah, I don't know if you want to like be like, but I don't know. At the same time, it's like, I know somebody who was like, did like an ayahuasca thing with a bunch of other people and they were all like having like experiences. Some people are like coming from their experience. Some people are crying.
Wait, people come from ayahuasca?
I think if you like, I mean, I think like with the right kind of drugs, you can like get close to, but just from like a different sensation. Like the pleasure is so high from the drug or whatever.
I always like, I know for me, I like to be a little stoned when I get down and dirty, if you will.
Have you tried the weed lube?
No, I don't know how I feel about that.
Oh, really? It's really fun. It's,
okay.
It's just for pussies. Like it's not for the dick. It's for the
Just for
pussies.
pussies.
It's great. No, it's if you like taking like a body edible and then having sex, like your body will really like the weed lube.
Okay.
I'm not sponsored yet, but I would love to be.
Okay, I know you're like wink, wink. Sybian, you there? Well, that's the thing, because like I like to smoke when I'm having sex because for me, I have anxiety, and so it's really hard to turn my brain off. And for me to come, it's like a lot of it is mental. Like I really, really, really need to like not
relax.
I need to like not be thinking about all the other shit I have to do. And so I don't want to be like, you know, messed up, but just enough to where like my shoulders are down. I'm like being silly enough where I'm focusing on the moment and the present rather than like everything else that's happening outside.
Yeah, but the weed lube is just for it. It takes like 10 to 15 minutes to kick in, though.
This is terrifying to me.
Right,
I don't know if I could do it. No. Yeah, I don't know why. Well, what is it? Is it like tingly?
Yeah, a little bit, but it just basically awakens things and everything is a little bit more intense and it's like really fun. I don't know. That's my 2 cents.
Fine,
Just take
DM me
it or
the
leave
link.
My 2 cents. But yeah.
That's fun.
I don't know. I think it's good to treat your gal to different experiences down there.
I gotta keep it spicy.
Right?
Like, oh, she gets bored.
I know. Can't just do the same way you've been doing it since you were like 14 or whatever.
I know.
That was me. I started early. I started, I was like a teenage dude,
Were you? For having sex or jerking off?
No, jerking off. I wasn't having, to be clear, was not having sex at 14.
Judgment-free zone. If anybody's fucking at 14, then you do you.
Yes.
But maybe wait a little bit. I was like, but maybe not.
These still have some brain cells developing.
Yeah. Yeah. How old was I? I was 18. It was like a month before I graduated. And it was like on the floor of my boyfriend's parents' basement. Yeah. Just classy all the way.
I was 16, almost 17 the summer before my senior year of high school.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. But I started masturbating when I was 14 and I just,
You want to know a secret, everybody?
What?
I only started masturbating recently.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But good for you. It's hard.
Thank you.
The older you get,
she's
it's harder
a late
to do
bloomer, but she's here.
Yeah.
So, everyone's probably like, are you Catholic? I was raised Catholic, but we weren't like super religious. Like I got confirmed and whatever, but we weren't like a religious household.
Yeah.
I think it's because of my anxiety and stuff where I just could never turn off my brain enough to do it.
Yeah.
And it never appealed to me. I just was like, I couldn't get out of my own way. And finally, after being in and out of tumultuous relationships and things and realizing that I was like, oh, you're having sex because you're horny as hell because you're not taking care of this stuff, and you're making bad choices because you just need that release. And so finally I was like, you need to start taking care of yourself. And I had a bunch of girlfriends that were like sending me links, sending me dicks. So like, just like, you need to figure this out on your own and not rely on somebody else. And now I'm like finally at that point where I'm like, I feel like such a badass where I'm like, ooh, did it again.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're finally, like, like I said, it's good to explore, you know, and I think you need to learn, I think everyone should learn for themselves how to make themselves happy. It makes it easier during sex to make yourself pleasurable, you know?
Well, it's funny because I also wonder though, because I can get there very easily in sex, like from just sex. And part of me wonders if it's because I never masturbated. So my body was just like,
oh, here it is.
Let it out.
Yeah.
Like, please God. Like, I don't know. And even now, like I jerk off, but not super regularly, like maybe once a week.
Yeah.
I don't know why so infrequently. I think it's because I'm too high strung. But once I'll be like, oh, tonight feels like a good night.
Yeah.
So stupid.
Are you like making a big deal about it still? Are you like lighting candles and like you're doing a...
I don't necessarily like candles, but I definitely need like... I usually put on music because I have to like get myself into the mood, quote unquote.
So what kind of music?
Myself.
Are you like listening to like Leon Bridges? Like what are you listening to?
I want fuck music. I'm doing it. Like there's a list there's a great Spotify playlist that I found that's called like Bedroom Mix or something. I'll send it to you. It's really good. I just found it not that long ago. And I was like, let's see. And there's a version of which Beyonce song is it? I forget which one, but it's a song that's normally like upbeat that she did it a different version of it for the what is that mommy porn? The 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh.
It's like the theme from that. And so you're just like, what is this? Like the first 30 seconds, and then all of a sudden that beat drops and you're like, this is hot as hell. Like, it's so good.
That's great.
So the list starts off strong is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Yep. So I will try to take a listen to that and we'll see.
It's a good time.
Where I go with that.
Good time.
Thank you. I'm glad you shared all that.
Thanks. That was a real word vomit that I was not anticipating. I didn't think I would come on here and be like, guess what, guys? I just learned how to come.
Hey, no, but I think it's important, and you're never too old to learn how to come. That's like a PSA for everybody here.
I know.
Right?
Yeah. If you take anything away from this, it's that pinball is fun, and you should always know how to come.
But I think when you take control and you actually do like please yourself and you make yourself come, it makes it, I think, a little bit easier when you're having sex to be able to. At least you can direct a little bit better, or if you're on top, you can do that. Or, sometimes magically you're with a woman that like everything that you like, she likes too. And then it's like magic. You're like,
who was it that I saw? I think it was Allie Colbert the other day. It was so funny where she had a joke where she was talking about how she was dating somebody who she was the first woman that she had dated. And that she said on stage where she was like, how are you so bad at this? You have one of these. And I was like, and I like scream laughed because I was like, I am the target demo for that. Where I was like, I get it. Some of us don't want to touch our own.
Well, the thing is, they are different. Everyone is like
very,
its
very
own
different.
special thing. And you don't, I think.
It's like a snowflake.
Yeah. Exactly. But it's like its own different manual, right? Mm-hmm. It's a different video game with a different setup, every single one.
Yep. It's never going to be. It's like driving somebody else's car where you're like, I got to move the seat up. I got to.
Yeah.
What's going on? There's a crank window? What the hell happened to this thing? Like.
But, yeah. But anyways, I'm glad you were able to share that.
Thank you.
And I think we are starting to wind down the podcast a little bit.
Does that mean we go to sleep?
No, we're not going to go to sleep quite yet. But I always ask people on the pod, what are your dreams for the future?
Ooh. Let's see. What are my dreams? If I in a perfect world, I really want to write for late night if late night continues to be a thing, which we keep losing shows, so we'll see. But I would love to write for late night and in turn also be a correspondent, because I don't want to give up being on camera and like performing and stuff like that. And so I would love to do that. But ultimately, like I just want to be creative. I want to still do comedy. I want to get paid to do comedy. I want to get paid to act, like all that stuff. And as long as that's still kind of in my life, I'm happy, but yeah, I'll take a sweet writing gig too if
Yeah.
anybody's just tossing those out. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Thanks very much for doing the podcast. If you could plug all your stuff that you have coming up and where people can follow you. and
Yeah.
Great.
So I'm on the socials at Valerie_Tosi. Mostly active on Instagram. Twitter's a hellscape now, and TikTok I'm too old for. So I'll get there, I promise. So I'm on there, and I run Mermaid Comedy Hour. If you're in Los Angeles, it is a monthly show. We're usually the second Monday of the month. And I also wrote a card game that is out in...
It's in Walmart now.
It's in Target. Yeah, Target.
Sorry.
Wrong one. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I was a co-writer on that with a couple of other female comics. And it's super fun. It's kind of like Cards Against Humanity, but geared towards women. And there's also like dare components and like truth and questions and stuff in there. It's super, super fun. So that's in Target. So go get it.
Yeah, it's called Girl Code.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for doing the podcast. We always end by saying goodnight. So good night, everybody.
Oh, good night. Night time.
Thanks for listening to Sleeping with Sarah, where I slept with Valerie Tosi. You can follow Valerie at Valerie_Tosi on Instagram and TikTok. That's VALERIE_TOSI. Check out the Mermaid Comedy Hour at the Hollywood Improv on Monday, April 22nd. And also be sure to check out her album, Beach Trash. If you like the podcast, please follow Sleeping with Sarah on YouTube and TikTok and Sleeping with Sarah Pod on Instagram. Big shout out to my team, especially Alex Garcia and Patrick Sugar, and thanks to Josh Bryant for the music. If you'd like to follow me, you can follow me at Sarah Albritton on Instagram and Threads, and at Sarah Albritton Comedy on TikTok, or go to sleepysarah.com for upcoming shows. I'll be releasing a podcast every other week, so tune in to find out who I have in bed with me next. Until next time, good night.